We are still in the vault. When people talk about inheritance, they usually picture what goes into these boxes: jewelry, diamonds, gold, real estate, bearer bonds, a family legacy handed down to give you a head start in the market. But most of you didn't inherit assets. You inherited a toxic cap table. In venture capital, a toxic cap table happens when early investors give you a little bit of seed money, but they write the contracts so aggressively that they end up owning your soul. On paper, the company looks operational, but structurally, it is completely paralyzed. You can't make a single move without their approval. Let's do a forensic audit of your original board of directors. First, you have the emperor, the parent who operated on performative generosity. Every dollar they spent on you, every favor, every ounce of supposed support was actually a predatory loan. The interest rate was your autonomy. You weren't being raised, you were being funded, but only as long as you performed the approved corporate script. Then you have the compliance officer, the enforcer. When the pressure of that environment got too high and you finally cracked, they didn't fix the toxic culture. They gaslit the employee. They pathologized your perfectly normal reaction to their absolute chaos. You weren't a son or a daughter in pain. You were a PR liability they needed to sedate. This is why you grew up having to read the micro-expressions in the room. The declared data, the words they actually said, were always a lie. You learned to trade on pure paranoia, reading the tape instead of the press release just to survive breakfast. So here is the million-dollar question. If the board is corrupt and the equity is toxic, why do you keep the shares? Why do you secretly love holding on to this debt? Because it is highly profitable for your ego. As long as you are the victim of their bad management, you never have to take the terrifying risk of filing for your own IPO. We secretly prefer a rigged game that we understand over the terrifying blank slate of absolute freedom. You keep expecting a massive emotional payout from a bankrupt entity. You keep knocking on the door of an empty vault, demanding your inheritance, because fighting with ghosts gives you a permanent excuse not to build your own wealth. They are never going to pay out. Real connection would require them to open the books and admit they ran the family like a Ponzi scheme. They will never do it. You cannot negotiate your way out of a toxic cap table. You do not wait for the board to apologize. You liquidate the shares. You delist the company. You accept the total loss of the illusion, and you open a new ledger under your own name. Stop auditing their crimes. Start funding your own escape. Let's get to work.